Chiquita Tate, 34, was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on October 15, 1975. Her parents, Oliver Snowtop Ruffin and Catherine Tate, were indeed proud parents of their daughter, who became a well-respected attorney, unfortunately found dead in her law office. Why did her own office become her crime scene? Chiquita Tate shared her life and her childhood with 6 other siblings and was the first in her family to graduate from college. She was raised primarily by her grandmother in a poor section of town, but she was very smart and determined. She went to Clark Atlanta University, where she graduated with a bachelor's degree in English, and she went on to pursue her Juris Doctorate degree from Southern University Law Center back in Baton Rouge. She was sworn in as an attorney in October of 2004 and began her solo practice concentrating in the field of criminal law in January of 2005. In her short career, she was highly successful in getting justice for many of her criminal clients and was also successful in getting a $500,000 award in a personal injury case. Her undying tenacity and plethora of knowledge was what made her successful in her career and admired by those who knew her. On February 20th, 2009, Chiquita was found dead in her law office with books and papers thrown all around and blood all over the place. Her body was found lying dead on the floor with 40 to 43 stab wounds, including a fatal stab wound to her neck, and some injuries were inflicted after her death. One of her hands had some long, dark-colored hair in it, and the police said the scene was one of the most brutal they had seen in their city. Chiquita Tate was married to Greg Davis, so her full name was Chiquita Tate Davis. Greg Davis was a contractor and other reports say a bodybuilder as well, and they were married in 2008, just a little over a year from when she was murdered. And according to Oxygen.com, referring to Greg Davis calling 911, he said, quote, "My wife, she was working late last night, but I can't get inside the building. I need a cop over here quick," he can be heard saying on a 911 call. Davis flagged down a nearby officer who went inside the building and stumbled upon Tate's bloody body, end quote. And here's the backstory before the 911 call. Greg Davis claims that his wife had been working late into the night because she had an upcoming double murder case. But she didn't come home at all that night, so he called her office repeatedly that morning but got no answer. So he became concerned and went down to her office but could not gain access to get into the building, so that's when he called 911 for help. It was first believed that maybe her murder was connected to her profession because Chiquita defended criminals who had done very violent crimes, including drug dealers, gang members, and killers. But after the police looked into that possible connection, it was ruled out. And one of the possible considerations for her murder were the 2 brothers that she was defending at the time of her death, brothers Darius and Danaco, who were accused of burning a man to death and possibly killing witnesses in the past. But these 2 brothers were ruled out as well at the time of her murder. So as the police continued investigating this case, it was noted that none of Chiquita's expensive jewelry was taken, there was no murder weapon found, and there was no blood in the elevator at her law office or in the lobby of the building on the day of the crime. So robbery was potentially ruled out. However, the hair in Chiquita's hand was a clue left at the scene, and her wallet was also missing. It was later determined that the hair in Chiquita's hand was weaved hair, which I associate typically with a woman, and that missing wallet was found in another part of town called Gardere Lane. According to Oxygen.com, quote, investigators believe they finally got the break in the case they needed after Tate's Gucci wallet was discovered on Gardere Lane, a crime-ridden area of town. However, her credit cards were still inside, leading detectives to believe that the expensive Gucci wallet had been planted there to divert the investigation. Their suspicions about Davis were heightened when he told detectives he had been on Gardere Lane the night his wife died, allegedly to buy steroids, after first insisting he had just driven straight home, end quote. This confession of Davis being on Gardner Lane placed him there at the scene with the ability to place the wallet there himself, and opened up the investigation to inquire more about Davis's background and his possible involvement in Chiquita's murder. Detectives on the case found out that 2 months before Greg and Chiquita's wedding, there was a domestic violence call to their home. According to Oxygen.com, quote, "He grabbed my finger and then I took the ring. I threw it at him. And then he choked me. And I couldn't move," a distraught Tate told a 911 dispatcher at the time. Tate and Davis were both arrested, but the charges against her were later dropped.
I have all units en route. Complainant advised that her fiancé is beating her.
Cops are responding to Greg and Chiquita's house after she made this harrowing 911 call only 6 weeks before they tied the knot.
Help me, help me, help me. He choked me. And I think he broke my arm.
She's wailing like a baby.
As the police interrogated Greg Davis, he also had marks on his body that were highly suspicious. But the police were only able to arrest him at that point because he had not shown up for court for the domestic violence incident. Davis also claimed he brought Chiquita some McDonald's after she called him while she was working late the night of the murder. While he was there, he said he also did a quick errand for her. He delivered some money to a client that was coming to meet Chiquita, as well as get some paperwork from the same client before he left. It is amazing how he was present at Chiquita's law office the night of the murder and also present on Gardner Lane where her wallet was found.
When the last time you been on Gardner Lane?
Gardner Lane? I went to Gardner Lane last night.
So Davis is in custody for not showing up for court for the domestic violence, and more things begin to unfold. The family of Greg Davis offers some input on what they think happened the night of the murder. They were the ones who suggested that maybe one of her clients may be involved, but that was not proven to be true. But the detectives also received an anonymous tip that Chiquita was involved in a triangular relationship with the lesbian couple she was helping with an adoption case. And the caller said she overheard the couple talking at a restaurant saying they murdered Chiquita. However, the cops questioned the couple, and those allegations were not proven to be true. And to further complicate things, the anonymous tip was traced back to the sister of Greg Davis. But the family kept trying. According to Oxygen.com, quote, "His family continued to insist he wasn't the type of man who would kill his own wife, and said they believed whoever had killed Tate later tried to kill him during a late-night attack at his home." Someone came up to his bedroom window about 3:40 in the morning and shoots into the bedroom window 5 times with a 10mm gun, hoping that he was in the bed, Davis' father, Silver Harris, told Dateline. "It just so happened that Greg fell asleep on the sofa. God saved him. He was not in the bed." Prosecutors believed, however, that Davis may have staged the attack himself, end quote. As the investigation continued, despite so many distractions, the police found blood evidence in the Davis home, including on a bottle of CLOROX. But the smoking gun was blood evidence found on a pair of sunglasses in Davis's car that sealed his fate. The sunglasses contained both Greg and Chiquita's blood. So although Davis denied there were any marital problems or issues with his marriage, it was revealed that before she died, Chiquita had reportedly signed a lease for a new apartment but had not yet moved into the new home. Her sister also made a statement that Chiquita told her the day she died that she was planning on leaving Greg. So 2 years later, at the trial of Greg Davis for the murder of his wife, prosecutors contended that he staged the scene of the crime by messing up the office, planting weave hair in her hand that was proven to have been placed in her hand, staging the attack on his home after her death, and placing the wallet in a seedy part of town, hoping to pin the murder on someone else or at least throw investigators off the trail of the real killer. Former girlfriends were also questioned, and they spoke of his controlling nature. On the other hand, the defense essentially said Davis had no reason to kill his wife. The prosecution also explored the idea that a $60,000 life insurance policy was a motive for Davis as well to resolve his financial debts. But the defense stood their ground and said that Davis did not kill his wife. It only took the jury a little over 3 hours to find Greg Davis guilty of manslaughter, which was a lesser charge than second-degree murder and did disappoint many people. But later the judge did sentence him to 40 years, which is the maximum allowed under the state statutes. Greg Davis has not admitted to the crime nor shown remorse. There was an appeal in this case, but so far it has been dismissed. Chiquita Tate was known as a pit bull in the courtroom, and her confidence when she entered a courtroom was tangible. Pam Burns, the former prosecutor on the case, who knew Chiquita Tate, whispered to her body at the crime scene that she would get justice for her, and she kept that promise. May she rest in peace. Bloopers. Stop! It just so happened that Greg fell asleep on the sofa. Jeez. It only took the jury a little over 3 hours to find Greg Gravis guilty. Greg Gravis?